One.
Hi, boys and girls.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the Board of Education for Orland School District 135 regular meeting on Monday, June 8th, 2020 at a little after 7. Sorry about that. Let's do the roll call, please.
Dr. Berry.
Here.
Mr. Hodge.
Here.
Ms. Kulak.
Here.
Mr. Merite.
Here.
Ms. Peckham Dodge.
Here.
Ms. Schreiber.
Here.
Mr. Shalaby.
Here.
All right, we don't have anything special for the pledge. Let's do the pledge. I have a flag.
She has a flag.
I do.
I have a
pledge
flag, but you
allegiance.
don't want me to take it out.
Ready?
Awesome.
Everyone up?
Mm-hmm.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
under God,
Indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
for all. Great. Thank you. Next, we have recognitions.
Alrighty, and I will start.
All right.
Okay, our honoree is Donna Hehan, Berta Garza, and Jackie Burke. School is Prairie Paraprofessionals. Value is Outstanding Achievement, and nominated by Kathy Putzt. Our next honoree is John Brick. Department is District Superintendent. Value is Outstanding Achievement, nominated by Anonymous. Honoree Sean Lyons. School, Liberty 5th grade. Value, Outstanding Achievement, nominated by Katie Ruiz. I have some missing nominees and
Same
value.
person,
Okay.
different value.
Different value, inspiration, and nominated by Jenny Vakarski. And so there are 3 for Mr. Lyons. One value was effective communication, nominated by Mark Barski. Honoree Colleen Palermo, Department Meadow Ridge Paraprofessional, value inspiration, nominated by Jenny McKendrick. Honoree is Claire Grady, School High Point 5th grade, value inspiration, and nominated by Manar Suleiman. And another one for Claire Grady is Outstanding Achievement by Manar Suleiman.
Okay, I'll take over with student recognitions. The SWIC recognitions. Congratulations to Gerling Junior High's 6th and 7th grade girls volleyball team for coming in first place in their conference this year. And their coach was Faith Swanson. And now additional staff recognitions. Honoree Linnea Habel, a hearing itinerant teacher at Centennial. Her value is compassion. She's nominated by Jacqueline Valentine, Caitlin McBrady, Patty Lokener, Deborah Barker. The next honoree is Joseph Galvin from Century Junior High, science teacher. Value compassion, nominated by the Covert family. The next honoree is Kimberly Volan, 1st grade at Park. Her value is outstanding achievement. She was nominated by Jennifer Masse. The next honoree is Leah Coleman. She's the Century Language Arts teachers, one of them. Her value is effective communication. She was nominated by Erin Hacker. Next honoree, Angie Nicholson, 2nd grade at Park. Value is inspiration. She was nominated by Michelle Collins. The next honoree is Jennifer Madsen, of 3rd grade at High Point. Her value is inspiration. She was nominated by Michelle Collins. Mike, you're next.
Yeah, I'm just going down. I've noticed I'm missing names on what I printed out. Is that right or wrong?
No, they were nominated multiple times.
Oh, okay.
That's where I was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Once again, my first honoree is Leslie Winkler, High Point 5th grade. Her value is Outstanding Achievement, nominated by Megan Van Elst. She was also the had a value of effective communication by Kelly Burns. Our next nominee is Jen O'Connor, High Point fourth grade, values inspiration by Katie Roch, nominated. Also for inspiration was nominated by Daniel Philippin. For outstanding achievement, she was nominated by Jennifer Mace. For the value of respect, she was nominated by Heather and Michael Murphy. Our next nominee is Amy Kenny, High Point fourth grade, values compassion by Tiffany Bryant. Honoree is Laura Nichols, Meadow Ridge paraprofessional, values inspiration, nominated by Becky Heidegger. And my last nominee that I have is Lisa Donzak, Meadow Ridge special education resource teacher, value is inspiration, nominated by Becky Heidegger.
Megan Schuster from third grade High Point, nominated for outstanding achievement by Nahil Ali. Also nominated for effective communication by Carla Riley. Next honoree is Brian Fogarty, principal at Park, nominated for respect, compassion, and inspiration, nominated by Erin Leone, Michelle Sheehan, Kim Moriarty, Heidi Yakis, Katie McCullough, and Kula Lalazis. Next honoree is Lisa Biller-Fink, paraprofessional at High Point, nominated for compassion by Heather and Michael Murphy. Next honoree, Brian Craig, teacher at Orland Junior High, nominated for respect by Kelly Burns. Next honoree is Dr. Brian Horn, principal at Century Junior High, nominated for outstanding achievement by Lisa Surzik.
And the next honoree is Shelley Jenkins, High Point fifth grade, effective communication by Jill Stein. And then Bridget Jordan, High Point resource team, the value is compassion, nominated by Gina Crotty. Honoree Lori Matthias, High Point third grade, value compassion, nominated by Rama Atia. The next one is Mary Joy Omahen, High Point fifth grade, value inspiration, nominated by Suzanne Sandowski. And also nominated for effective communication by Cyril Wachuwu. And our next honoree is Julie Rain, High Point third grade, value is compassion, nominated by Abby Richard. And then Lucy Shalash, Century Junior High Spanish, value compassion, nominated by Lisa Zurich.
Great. The next one is a community recognition. So it's a community spirit award. And the honoree is Alexis, or the honorees are Alexis Rodriguez and Bags of Hope. The attributes are community partnership, leadership, role models, and school involvement, nominated by Deborah Tomlinson, Sam Orseno, Dr. Brian Horn, and the Century staff. The details of the Community Spirit Award are as follows. Alexis Rodriguez and Bags of Hope have gone above and beyond to provide... That was not my house. Okay. Alexis Rodriguez and Bags of Hope have gone above and beyond to provide assistance to our Century families who have been in need of food throughout the school year for the past few years. Additionally, Alexis and her organization selfishly stepped up in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic to provide boxes and bags full of food and supplies on a bi-weekly basis to our families in need. We would love to acknowledge Alexis and the Bags of Hope organization for their significant contributions to our Century community and their dedication to serving lower income families. They have gone above and beyond to help these families in our school community, and we are eternally grateful for their efforts. Thank you, Alexis and Bags of Hope. You are an inspiration to all.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Congratulations to all our award winners, recognees, or whatever the correct term is for that. Next is citizens' remarks. We do have a couple that we're going to read. I will start off. This is an email from Ashley E. Haberkern. Dear Mrs. Peckham Dodge and Mr. Brick, I've read ISB's and IDPH's plan on reopening schools, or learned that these health and safety protocols, in quotes, will apply in the fall as well. This document is, quite frankly, the most troubling thing I have ever read. Not only is this plan not feasible in an actual school setting, but it is detrimental to the emotional, social, and educational development of our children. It is well known that COVID-19 poses little threat of serious illness or death in children and adults under the age of 50. The CDC's surveillance actually documents higher hospitalization rates of these age groups for influenza. In the state of Illinois specifically, approximately 87% of deaths were in those aged 60 and over. While COVID-19 infection is no doubt catastrophic to a certain demographic, the rest of the proposed protocols pose a far greater threat to our children. Children need to see faces, hear unencumbered voices, feel comfortable and safe, and be able to interact and play. I do not fear for my children's or their teachers' physical health, but mentally this path cannot be sustained. Quality of life and the toll social distancing is taking are not irrelevant nor unimportant factors. I believe in the importance of slowing the spread of this virus so that our healthcare system may provide adequate care to those individuals whose deaths can be prevented. However, changing course in an effort to prevent all illness is causing more harm than the virus itself and simply isn't feasible. This virus will undoubtedly continue to spread throughout the world. The goal should continue to be minimizing the fallout while ensuring our hospitals continue to have the capacity and ability to treat patients with severe cases. I do not know how much control the district has in this situation, but I urge you to please consider the facts and weigh all the pros and cons when discussing how to proceed with the 2020-2021 school year. Our children's emotional, social, and educational development and well-being are in danger should they be required to wear masks and social distance from their peers and teachers. As educators, you have all been placed in a terrible situation, but I trust you will continue to keep what is in the best interest of our children a priority. Please do not reopen your doors this August unless our children can return to the schools they love as they left them in March. Respectfully, Ashley K. Haberkern.
Okay.
Yep,
Our
Mike.
next citizen remark comes from Lauren Goot. I would like to inquire about the possibility of ESY being converted to an in-person format now that the governor has signed off on this, and the ISBE has set forth guidelines for this. I had been told by the Special Education Department that this was not planned for weeks ago and could not take place. If that is the case, I would also like to know why you would not plan for this. At this time, the situation with COVID-19 is very fluid, and I believe leadership needs to be prepared and proactive for situations as they arise. By not preparing for ESY in person, that isn't being demonstrated. It also leads me to inquire about what preparations are being done for the next school year. As I stated, I have a student in a self-contained classroom receiving numerous services through an IEP, and I feel strongly about the benefit of him receiving those services in person. I would add that private therapy centers have been open and using guidelines successfully, as well as Orland Park Special Recreation Department is setting forth guidelines to resume some in-person programming. I would like to participate in the school board meeting if possible, but I also appreciate any response.
Okay, next one is by the same person, Lauren, is it Goot or Goutte? I would like the board to discuss options for safe ways other than e-learning for the upcoming school year, if we are unable to return to things as they were before. If we are able. I would like to also discuss the thought on what can be done to advocate for children to resume being in the classroom. Also, are there any thoughts or discussion on how this is negatively affecting children's education? Thank you. That's it.
That's it, John?
It's it, yes.
That's it.
Next is, we're going to have a moment of silence. We lost a retiree, Jerry Homolka, passed away. He was from Buildings and Grounds, and he passed away on May 24th, 2020. Thank you. Next is the superintendent's report. Hand that off to you, Mr. Brick.
Okay, just a quick reminder about graduations. We have graduations scheduled for the next 3 days, starting tomorrow, first at Century, and then at Orland Junior High, and then at Gerling Junior High on Thursday. We're definitely going to have some potential weather issues coming up in the next day or two, but I know the principals and buildings grounds department are going to inform families, hopefully no later than late morning on kind of what the status is for graduation. We have alternate dates set up for the following week on the 16th, 17th, and 18th of June, for just in case there is some inclement weather and we're unable to perform graduation. I know everyone's looking forward to it. There's going to be plenty of staff participating. We are literally going to roll out the red carpet for our 8th grade graduates. We're going to have some surprises along the way, so we really look forward to celebrating the achievements of our 8th grade students and their families. And hopefully the rain can hold out. If not this week, hopefully next week. So next, I'm going to turn it over to the Department of Teaching and Learning. And actually, the next 2 items are going to talk about the summer programs that are being developed, as well as a committee that was established as far as a reopening committee on various areas that the district is looking at and preparing for moving forward. So I'll turn it over to them.
All right.
Okay, I will start. Our department spends months planning. We've had to be flexible in planning for both the possibility of on-site and virtual. We started with our summer professional development last week. All of it is going to be virtual. The focuses are in the areas of reading and writing, math, social and emotional learning, restorative practices, trauma-sensitive education, and student voice and choice. I do have to say this has been the largest attendance of staff that we've had. Over 624 slots have already been booked, and 74% of all classes offered are full to capacity with people on the waiting list.
Good.
I'd like to share some information about our summer school program. So normally our summer school is held for 4 weeks for general ed students. We have 10 teachers, and last year was a big class and we had 80 students. This summer we're expanding that model because of since we're doing it virtually. We're going to do the same 4 weeks, but we have 20 teachers, and we will be offering this to and have 321 students confirmed participation. During summer school, the teachers will be working the full hours, but the students will be in small groups of about 20 to 30 minutes that they'll have the teacher with 3 or 4 students working on targeted direct instruction. So the teachers will have action plans that our interventionists created and our EL teachers created to let the summer school teachers know what they wanted to focus on with each student, and those students will be grouped according to needs. And through those 4 weeks, they will get very direct targeted instruction to their needs. The ESY program, Bridget Carson and Karen Janettis are organizing the ESY, which is the special education program. It will be running at the same time as the general ed summer school from July 13th to August 6th. They have 263 students confirmed, and they will be running it similar to the general ed summer school, doing it in a virtual model, providing small group, specialized instruction, one-on-one, and different therapies that the students would be receiving all through Zoom and video. Also, this summer we had to do some quick thinking and make some changes to our kindergarten screening. Normally, kindergarten screening is at the beginning of June, 4 days over the summer, and the kindergarten teachers and interventionists come in and work with students one-on-one for probably about 15 minutes each student. Since we were not sure when to start being able to have in-person interaction with the students, we changed the model to be a phone interview. So each of the teachers will be talking to the parents over the phone. We have questions that they'll be asking that we used a lot of it from the kids assessment that kindergarten does, the kindergarten teachers use at the beginning of the year, which is an Illinois observational assessment. It'll include literacy, numeracy, and social development. So that will hopefully help our primary principals gain some information about students' strengths and needs to help them balance their classes and make sure that they have the supports they need for their students.
Thanks, Jen. So for the next item is talking about summer e-learning, and this is working with a request that we had from our community. So for 6 weeks this summer, from the weeks of July 6th through August 13th, our e-learning board on our website will be live again, and students and families will be able to access e-learning in the areas of math and language arts for grades kindergarten through 8th grade. So we have 18 teachers, one teacher for each subject, math and language arts, who will be working throughout those weeks to post those e-learning plans. Those e-learning plans will be connected to grade level curriculum and standards, but will also be done in a way that the activities and lessons are engaging and fun enough for students to have some fun with that during the summer months too. So we will have that summer e-learning board up again for 6 weeks this summer, and those will be the weeks of July 6th through August 13th. Another function of this summer that we have assembled and that we already have in motion is an e-learning planning committee. And Mr. Brick, this might go into that next agenda item. I think if that next agenda item is in reference to that. Do you want me to continue?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks,
Okay.
Dr. Snyder.
Thank you. So we've assembled an e-learning planning committee this summer, and our e-learning planning committee is a collection of our teachers and also our administration. We have 20 teachers, grades kindergarten through 8th grade. The teacher group has representation from all teaching areas, so general ed, special education, as well as specials. And then we have administrative representation from each of the grade level bands, so primary, intermediate, junior high, and including some district office administrative representation. And the focus of the e-learning planning committee is really to take all of the feedback that we've received throughout the spring from March 13th until the end of the school year, and work with that feedback, and also work amongst ourselves to really refine and improve and strengthen our e-learning plans. So we had our first meeting last Wednesday. The meeting started off with talking about areas of strength and areas that we acknowledge as areas for needs for improvement. And we really had a very good conversation and acknowledged the fact that from March 13th going forward, everything happened so quickly and everybody was so busy just doing the very best that they could. We really didn't have a collective opportunity to work with teachers and administration at any point to talk about things and kind of as they develop. So this is a good opportunity now for everybody to have had a chance to catch their breath. And now we're talking about these items. So we have our next two meetings are scheduled for June 16th, and then we have another meeting scheduled for June 23rd. And so we're hoping that as we talk amongst ourselves on this e-learning planning committee, we'll also continue to get more guidelines from the Illinois State Board of Education and from the governor's office to help with that planning. But included in that planning, I should say, will also be multiple scenarios and talking about how e-learning looks throughout different models of starting school in August. So we have a wide variety of agenda items, but talking and planning specifically about how some different models could look in August is definitely prevalent on the agenda.
So is that the reopening committee as well? That, so it's not just talking, e-learning sounds like we're just planning for e-learning.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that everyone understands this is the opening of the schools in August and the many shapes that could take.
Yes, thank you. We are going to have the e-learning planning committee is going to have more of an e-learning and curricular focus. We have acknowledged as an administrative team that there will also need to be planning and conversations happening around the operational side of the district as well. So when you start to talk about logistics and that operations side, this committee, the e-learning planning committee, will be more focused on the academics and the teaching and learning, and we'll have other conversations happening at the same time about the operations as well.
If I may add, Mrs. Dodge, we have set our next Teaching and Learning Board Advisory Committee for Thursday, June 25th. So that will be a primary focus at that meeting as well, to further gain different stakeholders' feelings about the different possibilities. And as Dr. Snyder said, we continue, and Mr. Brick, we continue on a daily activity to wait and see what ISB is rolling out and what guidelines they are setting forth.
I understand.
Madam President, if I may add something.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I keep hearing frequently is if I may add, Dr. Snyder, and I'm sure many of us have full, we're totally confident in what you can deliver, is that the lack of accountability for the students. I think that a lot of parents want to see accountability, even measured within like time frames where, a junior high student couldn't wake up. I mean, to be quite frank, I have a junior high student where they couldn't be waking up an hour and a half after school starts. I'm not outing my son here. I'm just saying that they know that they can do their work much later, and then or some kids that are waking up early and just pounding all their stuff out an hour and a half, rather than if school were to start at 8 a.m. for the sake of argument, that they have to be logged in at 8 a.m. or some type of guidelines that's not just with a little bit more accountability, but also I don't want to say strictness, but more structure that would allow them to have a more cognizant flow throughout the day.
So, Mr. Shalaby, it's almost as if you were in our first meeting, because you're echoing the sentiments of the committee as well. When we lined up what we identified as the strengths of our e-learning from March 13th until the end of the year, the overriding strength of it was how prepared we were because of our hardware and our software and our infrastructure around technology. So our teachers and administrators alike agreed that was hands down outstanding. But when we talked about areas for improvement, accountability is the phrase that was at the top of that list. And we talked about it from a lot of perspectives, including the state guidelines on accountability. So, there were guidelines on how grading and how attendance could be handled throughout that time. So looking ahead to further possible e-learning in the future, we're waiting to see if those guidelines are less, I don't want to say restrictive, because but provide a little bit more specificity for exactly how attendance and grades can be taken for that accountability piece. That's something that we're going to talk more about as well, because if the state doesn't come through with those guidelines, we want to have something going forward as a district.
Correct.
We agree on some solutions to do exactly that. So that's going to be a topic, that's going to be a thread going through a lot of our conversations.
Thank you.
We also had subgroups. When we had the meeting, we had breakout sessions, so we broke up by grade level bands. I happened to be sitting in on the junior high level, where accountability was a big discussion. As you said, Mr. Shelby, people were noting some of those similar struggles that they had, and how could we make the students more accountable. So we talked about having different meetings with specific topics that we could hone in more specifically on that topic, such as accountability and assessment and consistency. So those were some of the common themes.
Yeah.
And we, go ahead. Sorry, Dr. Snyder, go ahead.
Just last quick note on the accountability. When we talk about it, we're also recognizing too that that's a very careful conversation, because we've received student feedback about what students think as far as the plus side of e-learning, and that's input that we take very seriously in terms of students being able to be kind of have a self-pace that they feel is appropriate for them, but also a lot of social pressures that students felt were alleviated throughout e-learning. So there's a balance there when we start to talk about accountability. We want We want to have some more specificity, as I mentioned, but we also want to continue to provide students with the upsides as they perceive it as well.
I have two points to make. My first point is accountability. I can understand it. I understand what the state, how they kind of hamstrung us, and they did. Okay, they didn't give us I think you're looking for the word flexibility within the local school districts to handle it the way we saw fit, right from the bat. Does our current policy of no non-graded homework restrict us in this kind of a situation where we cannot, ungraded homework means the homework will not receive a grade? Does it restrict us, number one? And number two, if they give us the flexibility, are there more things that we can do to make sure that accountability is, because Mr. Shelley is correct. Accountability was a big problem. A big problem, not just ours, all throughout the state of Illinois. And that was a problem with that. So should our policy committee look at that and say, does there need to be a change at this time?
I think there is room for the discussion because technically, like you're saying, in an e-learning environment, all work is homework. So, maybe there could be whatever there is, they're certainly up for discussion, but there probably should be a qualifier or some updated terms and definitions that's more inclusive, because when a policy like that came about, e-learning wasn't something that we were even recognizing at the time.
This might be something that the policy committee might want to look at.
Mr. Snyder, if I may, did you use the word, what word did you use to characterize what the students were feeling? You're saying that they feel less pressure?
In some cases, yeah. Some student feedback did tell us that how they were able to kind of self-pace through their work and also kind of feel a sense of relief. Again, this is not all, this is some, but felt a sense of relief from some of the social pressures or social anxieties that they might feel in school. So that's important to us. When we get that feedback, it's important to look at what those items are and what they mean in terms of moving forward, not just in an e-learning environment, but also in an in-person environment.
I mean, legislatively, is there anything we can do with our legislators? I mean, really, I'd rather be proactive and get this out ahead of it before they hand us on something that's going to tie us up again. I mean, what should we do? Can we?
So far, Area Service Center, the ISC.
I'm just talking about the legislature. I mean, I'm talking about people that get to the people that make these statements and decisions, and when they're discussing it, the state board, whatever. I mean, it's just something we should do proactively to show our disdain for that. How this really restricted us. They've heard it, but I don't know if they really hear it.
Well, I think it's going to be, they can't have the same rules because there's nowhere place to start from. It's a new school year. So it's not like kids have grades through March like they had this time. And that we've had time, and districts have had time to plan for more kids and all kids to have the tools they need. And that was a big issue in a lot of districts, not ours, but a lot of districts. So I totally understand why they did what they did for this situation. Coming in the fall, from the calls I've been on, Mike, they've been much more guidance, the word guidance used, as opposed to you must do this. So I think it's at least that's what I've heard. I know about, Lynn and Dave and Jen, if that, that's what you've heard in any of your interactions with anybody.
I tried reaching out to someone I knew at ISB today for the English learners because we have so much to do with screening. And I didn't get a response. And from other people in my group, they said things are to come. So we keep waiting with bated breath every day to see what's out there. I know Mrs. Kulak commented about the ISC. We have a standing weekly meeting with them that we check in. So they're really good, both Dr. Kinder and Dr. Doyle, to update us when they hear something. And sometimes they're finding it out as we are. So everybody within district office is putting out feelers with their respective counterparts. We're all talking to each other.
And a big part of the planning committee is going to be having to have multiple plans, and knowing that we need to have that flexibility, because we do know, and we've experienced over the past several months, that a lot of times we get the information, we got information that changed things on Thursday of last week. So we know that we have to work with the committee to have several plans for several different situations, including, grading and attendance and transportation and everything else that comes with it. So that'll be a big part of that committee is looking at all of the different options and making sure that we're thinking ahead to plan for whatever comes down to us.
I mean, Mike, we can definitely, we still have scope meetings. They've been virtual. We've had one. That's our lobbying body that we're part of, and we can definitely bring that up at the next meeting.
Yeah, it's what it seems to be happening, though. If you look at what's going on, it seems like that more and more the people that were making all the rules, they tend to give the local, whether it be a city, a town, whatever, more responsibility now. I'm just hoping that they'll become, where they'll give the local school districts a little more flexibility and say in controlling what they do. I'm hopeful we get that flexibility, because everybody's going to be in a different place anyway.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on this topic?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So John, are we done with C?
We are.
Okay.
We'll have a more detailed update in July. Quite honestly, in July, we should have a very good sense on the direction that we plan on going, to inform the community on what school is going to look like. We anticipate that we're going to be in phase 4 at that time, and that's really what a lot of our focus is what that's going to look like in phase 4. And as far as working with all our vendors, our partners on trying to meet those guidelines in that phase for students returning. And I understand the frustration of families and children and parents. I think there's nothing more that all of us want is to have kids back in our buildings at 100% doing what they do, having extracurricular activities, sports, everything going again. But we need to follow those guidelines. Insurance is a factor in us with these guidelines as well. There's been talk about insurance companies ensuring that districts do follow guidelines, or else they would invalidate policies if we don't follow guidelines. So we have to be very careful. As much as we want students back in the building, we just have to make sure that we're following all the state requirements and doing the best we can and providing the safest environment for students and adults. So that's what we're striving for. All of us, I know all of us on this meeting are, and there's hundreds and thousands of other people that want the same thing.
Yeah. All right. Next is the health insurance renewal, John.
So we had Ms. Owens is going to take over and kind of give you a review, a summary of kind of where we're at insurance-wise moving forward. We had a committee meeting with staff as well to discuss various changes, and I'll let Mrs. Owens take over from here.
Thank you. Good evening. So at the conclusion of the fiscal year 19, our health insurance claims exceeded our premiums by 11%, which was about $1.2 million. This was in large part due to high claims as well as rising medical costs. So that really kind of prompted us to start evaluating what we could do with our healthcare program and gain a new perspective on that. So we also started speaking to different consultants to help us manage our healthcare. The consultants we had at the time were offering a preliminary recommendation of an increase of 14% to our health insurance premiums. So as we continued to interview different consultants, we did move forward with contracting with Group Alternatives, which is now Assured Partners. They're one and the same. And then using the data that we had available for them through March of 2020, Assured Partners went out and basically advocated for the district on the purpose of maximizing our healthcare insurance coverage for our employees, but at the most affordable cost. So as part of that process and looking at that data, they were able to identify some gaps that were in our benefits plan, as well as suggest some strategies that would help us come to a balanced budget for our healthcare spending. As part of that advocacy, they were actually able to negotiate a $100,000 one-time credit to the district from Blue Cross Blue Shield because of our participation in a wellness program with our employees. And then they recommended some additional changes to our insurance plan, which also introduced a new provider for our vision care. So ultimately, the overall recommendation from them and plan changes would result in a 7.5% healthcare premium increase with Blue Cross Blue Shield. There was no change in premiums or provider for our dental coverage. And there is a change in our vision care provider to iMed, which would result in an approximate 50% decrease in vision premiums. And all of these changes were reviewed with our district insurance committee. They all thought that these were made sense and they supported those changes. So I'm making a recommendation for that, the approval of a 7.5% increase in our healthcare premiums. That ends up being about $3.30 per month for people on single coverage and $31.65 per month for individuals on family coverage. And again, no change for our dental, and the change for the vision care actually results in a reduction in premiums.
Was this group that gave the presentation at the finance meeting?
Yes, it was, Mr. Marite. That's so Assured Partners is formerly Group Alternatives, and that is who presented that information to the Board Advisory Finance Committee. And as they demonstrated at that meeting, they really are diving into our data, and it's evident of that based on the difference between what our former consultants were recommending, which was a 14% increase versus the 7.5% increase.
Thank you.
Ms. Owens?
Yes.
So overall, in synopsis, it's about a $32 difference. The way it impacts our employees, if they're on a family plan, is about $32 a month. And if they're an individual, it's about just shy of $3.50 per month, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then vision care, you said, goes down by 50%. And then the plan, which is what I just outlined, is 7.5%. So is there any other way that the employees will be impacted in a negative?
Actually, they will actually be impacted to the benefits. So some additional plan changes that actually resulted in that 7.5% increase, knowing that there was that additional cost to the employees for the monthly premiums. Right now for our family coverage, there's a $1,500 per year deductible, or it's basically 3 times what a single coverage is. So there's a $500 deductible for the health insurance if you're single. There's a $1,500 deductible for family right now.
Is it per person or per family?
I'm sorry, it's for family. So it's 500 times 3 or
Okay.
1,500 for family. And that's right now. With these plan changes, we were able to reduce that down to 2 times. So it goes from $1,500 to $1,000 a year for that deductible.
Good.
So that would be a benefit to our employees that are using our healthcare.
Well, we're not actually reducing it, are we? I mean, it's not like, it's not, that's coming from somewhere, and that includes our 7% increase, correct?
Right. So, while that would be an additional cost, we did make a change in our coverage for outpatient diagnostic services, which previously, if somebody went for, say, an MRI, there was 100% coverage on the first $100 for those outpatient diagnostic services, and that has been removed. So actually, in evaluating the data, by making that change from 3 times to 2 times on the deductible, and then the out-of-patient diagnostic services, they basically cancel each other out. In addition to that, we are moving to a balanced drug prescription plan, which results in an estimated savings of $406 per year for the next 2 years, for a total of $812,000 in expected savings. So a balanced drug plan is just basically, it's identifying a different set of drugs on the formulary or non-formulary list. And we've identified there are some individuals on our plan that may be impacted by this based on the prescriptions that are on file right now with claims. However, we're working independently or directly with each of those individuals to ensure that they're able to either transfer to a comparable drug that is on the balanced drug list, or if they're not eligible to transfer for whatever reason, they have a reaction to the drug, they would still then be able to get the drug at the balanced prescription plan. So for making that change, as I just mentioned, it's a substantial savings to us, and it has a limited impact to our employees.
Suzanne, can I ask a question? Was any of this information sent out to the board members before right now?
Mr. Brick, I'm not sure if the memo I shared with you was shared or not.
I mean, I think insurance is like a huge cost for the district, and the fact that we have no idea what the effects of COVID are going to be on our future budget and all this increase in premiums.
I'd be happy to share the summary of the changes with the board. And then if you have any follow-up questions, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'd be happy to speak with you about that.
Okay, but isn't this something that we're voting on tonight?
Yes, it is.
So is this not normal protocol that things that we're voting on should be sent out before we're voting on them?
The memo is part of the board
It's in
packet.
the board, it's in the board docs.
And this presentation was given to the finance committee also, and it's been discussed. Unfortunately, we didn't get to, and it was presented to the health committee, which has all stakeholders in it.
Right. So our insurance committee consists of representatives from the support staff as well as our teachers union, and then administration as well as our consultants.
And we did talk about this in a meeting because, Mike, we presented, this was a finance committee meeting like 2 or 3 months before COVID.
Right.
when we
Yeah,
had this
it
presentation.
was. Yeah, I know.
So we discussed this.
Mike and Linda, you reviewed this, correct?
Yeah, we reviewed it. It was a fantastic plan. What a lot of the offsets, that's huge coming down from, granted, it went up $360 a year for the family, but it's going down $500 on a deductible. So it's kind of like a wash. The formulary stuff, I mean, the meds is a good plan. Teledoc, is that also in there? I thought that's what they presented in the presentation.
We did add that upon COVID, and that was something that we implemented in March to provide that service to our employees. And we'll continue to send out targeted emails to our employees to ensure that they're aware of that availability on our plan.
We always we run everything through the health committee, that
We have to.
whatever, the paraprofessionals, everything, every year before we make any types of changes whatsoever. So a lot of them, then they share that information. So, and when was that meeting held?
Our insurance committee,
Yeah,
was it
usually in April.
We actually, because of the timing of the change to our new consultant and to give them time to get the information together, we actually had it in May.
Okay. It's usually April, but it's May. Okay, great. Yeah.
Well,
It's,
plus remember this company that we've hired, this consultant, has a lot more work to do and a lot more data to analyze. This was, a short-term project that they could get done before we had to renew this whole framework. So they are anxious to get started, and there's a lot of other savings out there for us that will come for next year.
yeah, they're data driven. They're not done.
Yep,
They
exactly.
will not be done with this.
Absolutely. And again, we've been very impressed with how well they've been advocating for us and the savings that they've already realized in a very short amount of time. Mr. Merite, to answer your question, we met on May 19th.
Okay. But it was usually meet in April, but because of the situation, obviously. But, okay. Good.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Thanks.
Okay.
Next, John, is commercial insurance package renewal.
So we had 2 bids on our commercial insurance package renewal. Our incumbent was a bit higher than the alternate bid, but I will tell you that there was one major difference in the coverage. So our flood coverage for they identified Orland Junior High and as a potential flood candidate, and they lowered that total cost of recovery if there was such a flood, and the deductible would be quadruple any other building that we have in our district. The coverage would be 1/4, or I should say actually 75% less, from 20 million to 5 million, and then the deductible would go up from $25,000 to $100,000 in that one particular school. So there's actually an $8,000 difference between the bids. But in speaking with our consultant who handles this, I mean, I personally didn't feel comfortable with providing less coverage for one of our schools as opposed to the other 9 schools. I mean, there isn't any history of that, particularly at Orland Junior High, that at least they were aware of. So she felt that, and I feel that that's quite an outlier. And for the $8,000 difference, I felt, it would be my recommendation to stay with our incumbent. Our incumbent has actually served us well over the last couple of years and various issues that we've encountered. So I think that's the major difference in the coverage. So we can go with the lesser company that has $8,000 less than our incumbent, but we would have to accept that drastic reduction in coverage at Orland Junior High and accept the drastic increase in any deductible for that difference if we choose to do that. But I would recommend going with our incumbent and providing equal coverage throughout the district for all of our buildings.
Thoughts from anyone? Are we good with John's recommendation?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Next is policy 4180-AP3.
Mrs. Owens is going to give you a quick update on this policy.
Thank you. So on March 9th, a memorandum was issued from the Office of Management and Budget in Washington, D.C., which provides organizations the flexibility for grant assistance in response to COVID-19. The memorandum provides short-term relief for administration of uniform administrative requirements, cost principles, and audit requirements for federal awards. So with the issuance of that memo from the Office of Management and Budget, we refer to this policy administrative procedure 4180, which is grant flexibility, payment of employee salaries during a pandemic. So as you reference this policy, it outlines that after consultation with the board within 90 days of that memorandum being issued, the district can allow for payment of employees' salaries and benefits that are currently being charged to grants for activities that are either partially or wholly suspended as a result of a pandemic. There is no action as far as a vote that needs to be done. Instead, this is just a conversation and consultation with the board for review of granting such flexibility to allow us to continue to charge individuals who are already had salaries and benefits earmarked for the grants to continue to do that, even if we are not actually utilizing the programs because of the COVID.
So I think the difference here is what Mrs. Owens is explaining is obviously the title grants are federally funded dollars as opposed to our state tax revenue, meaning that, you know, the governor making his claim about paying employees for everything, you know, for all activities and various extra duties. The grant would also, you know, obviously the grant is a different pot of money. So that just allows us to do that with the grant as well.
So why wouldn't we do it?
Well,
Is there a reason that we wouldn't do that?
I don't know. One I can't think of, but I guess I mean, every situation could be different here. So we would have an opportunity to evaluate it during that time period, that 90-day time period. Is that correct?
So it's 90 days from issuance of that memo, which was March 9th. So we're running up on that. Right now, we have evaluated it. HR and the business department work together and in discussion with Dr. Snyder. Collectively, we agree that it is in the district's best interest to continue to utilize this. However, it is because of the way the administrative procedure is brought forth. We do just need to review that with the board to make sure that there's an understanding of it. And we've consulted with you that that we do plan on moving forward and charging any of these salaries and benefits to the grant accounts as we had originally anticipated prior to the pandemic.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Brick, real quick, you'd made mention, so all stipends, for the audience here, all stipends are currently being paid, correct? Like bus duty, coaching, per the governor's order?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
FOIA request.
We had one FOIA, and that as we responded to that FOIA accordingly.
All right. Next is review of revised board policies, second reading. A through K, these are all things we talked about the last meeting. Suzanne, is there anything you need to point out to us? Does anyone have any questions, or can we just say, you know, that's fine, we're going to vote on this in a few minutes?
There's
Yes.
been no changes, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody, questions?
This wasn't one of the policies that you said, you had sent us an email today that said one was changed. It's not this set, right?
It was not the policy, it's the personnel action. There was a correction on
Okay,
it.
all right. Okay, thanks.
Cool. First reading, review of board policies. So we do have some first reading.
I don't know, Suzanne, how you want to do this, but it would seem to me like we should just point out the ones that are not the perfunctory changes that come down.
Yeah.
Because there's not many substantive changes in any of these. There's a couple, but
Like footnotes, Devin? Yeah.
Okay, very good. I am fine with that. So 6135 is basically posting a report on the district website as it relates to the Accelerated Placement Act. 6280, grading and promotion. This again is just an update to the type of standardized test that we are now issuing since Park is no longer, because of the discontinuance of Park. 770, attendance and truancy. This aligns with the Public Act amending valid cause for absences to include students, social, emotional, or physical health and safety. So that is a change to that policy and cross-referencing that language. 810, connection with the community. Again, this is policy and footnote updates to include our new current social media platforms. 830, visitor and conduct on school property. The policy and legal reference were updated to require the district to allow union representatives reasonable access to employees to meet for certain reasons during the workday without lost pay or leave time, as well as during their duty-free time upon notice to their school office or building administrator, as long as these meetings do not impede the normal operations of the school day. So this would be allowing that union representation that time. And 8110, public suggestions and concerns. The policy, legal reference, and footnotes cross-reference were updated to allow community members to email the district or any district employee or board member in support of education and or research for legitimate school business purposes, and require community members to abide by our board policy about access to electronic networks for the purpose of limiting the communication to relevant district staff and discouraging individuals from engaging in disruptive practices such as mass ceasing staff who have no involvement in the particular issue that they're contacting. So prior language in that policy did require individuals to come to district office. So this is just, again, updating to our current times with that email, but then also being cognizant of having people limit their communication to really individuals that are going to be able to best serve them in their questions or concerns.
Very good.
And then we do have 4 5-year policies for review. And there are no changes to those. We just need to review those and provide an update. Are there any questions on those revisions or policies?
All right, thank you. So we're moving on to the consent agenda. I move that the Board of Education approve the following consent agenda items. Minutes, April 27th, 2020, special board meeting and closed session. Minutes, May 11th, 2020, regular board meeting of education. Minutes, May 11th, 2020, closed session. Accounts payable, May 31st, 2020, $914,416.83. Petty cash interest fund, May 31st, 2020, $4,635.71. Payroll summary, May 31st, 2020, $5,630,385.79. The personnel report as amended. 2020-2021 membership renewal for the Illinois Association of School Boards, IASB, $10,775.
I second.
Any discussion? Jill, will you call the roll, please?
Dr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Hodge?
Aye.
Ms. Kulak?
Aye.
Mr. Merite?
Aye.
Ms. Peckham Dodge?
Aye.
Ms. Schreiber?
Aye.
Mr. Shalaby?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to board motions. First being renewal, fiscal year 2021 online policy services, SBPOL in parentheses.
I move that the Board of Education renew the 2021 fiscal year subscription for publication of Orland School District 135 policies on the website hosted by Illinois Association of School Boards in an amount not to exceed $2,500.
I second.
Any discussion? Jill, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hodge,
Aye.
Ms. Kulak,
Aye.
Mr. Merite,
Aye.
Ms. Peckham Dodge,
Aye.
Ms. Schreiber,
Aye.
Mr. Shelby,
Aye.
Dr. Barry.
Aye.
Next up, B, renewal fiscal year 2021 Press Plus services.
I move that the Board of Education renew the 2020-21 fiscal year subscription with Illinois Association of School Boards for full maintenance services of the district's policy manual and administrative procedures in an amount not to exceed $1,650.
Second.
Any discussion? Jill, call the roll, please.
Ms. Kulak,
Aye.
Mr. Merite,
Aye.
Ms. Peckham Dodge,
Aye.
Ms. Schreiber,
Aye.
Mr. Shelby,
Aye.
Dr. Barry,
Aye.
Mr. Hodge.
Aye.
C, approval of new revised board policies.
I move that the Board of Education approve the following new and revised policies as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. Any conversation on this? Jill, call the roll.
Mr. Merite,
Aye.
Ms. Peckham Dodge,
Aye.
Ms. Schreiber,
Aye.
Mr. Shelby,
Aye.
Dr. Barry,
Aye.
Mr. Hodge,
Aye.
Ms. Kulak.
Aye.
All right. D, 2020-2021 health insurance renewal.
I move that the Board of Education approve the insurance program submitted by Assured Partners of Illinois for the 2020-21 fiscal year.
Second.
Any discussion? Jill, call the roll, please.
Ms. Peckham Dodge,
Aye.
Ms. Schreiber,
Abstain.
Mr. Shelby,
Aye.
Dr. Barry,
Aye.
Mr. Hodge,
Aye.
Ms. Kulak,
Aye.
Mr. Merite,
Aye.
E, 2020-2021 commercial insurance package renewal.
I move that the Board of Education accept the proposal submitted by Mesro Insurance Services and Wright Specialty Marco Insurance Company for the commercial liability insurance package option 1 at an amount not to exceed $164,400 for the 2020-2021 fiscal year.
Second.
Any discussion? Jill, call the roll, please.
Ms. Schreiber,
Aye.
Mr. Shelby,
Aye.
Dr. Barry,
Aye.
Mr. Hodge,
Aye.
Ms. Kulak,
Aye.
Mr. Merite,
Aye.
Ms. Peckham Dodge.
Aye. That's it. Any board member reports or requests?
I do, Madam President.
Yes.
Well, first I want to congratulate all the graduates. Although this is a very unique time and a different style of graduation, I'm sure they'll go out with an awesome bang and they'll make it more stylish than ever. I also want to congratulate two of our board members on the graduations of their children. Linda and Mike both have their 8th graders graduating this year, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And lastly, the Orland 135 Foundation, as you know, is a foundation that benefits specifically the children of 135 and sometimes the extension of their families. Orland 135 Foundation is currently hosting an active fundraiser, trying to raise money for relief. I know we talked about this a little bit in the last board meeting on what could be done for funds that are specifically to go back to our children and or other families that are negatively impacted by COVID. And I know a lot of people are hurting here during these times, so we're trying to do our best to the 135 Foundation is trying to do their best to offset that. And I'll also be presenting 6 scholarships at the upcoming graduations, 1 male and 1 female student per school per graduation, and with a little bit of a little scholarship bonus there and a certificate as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. I will entertain a motion to go into closed session. I will say that we will have some action after closed. So if anybody wants to stay tuned, we will. Okay.
I move that the Board of Education adjourn to closed session to discuss student disciplinary matters or other matters pertaining to individual students, pending, probable, or imminent litigation, collective negotiating matters, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee, a specific independent contractor, a specific volunteer, or legal counsel, and review of closed session minutes.
A second?
Any conversation? Jill, call the roll, please.
Mr. Shelby,
Aye.
Dr. Berry,
Aye.
Mr. Hodge,
Aye.
Ms. Kulak,
Aye.
Mr. Merite,
Aye.
Ms. Peckham Dodge,
Aye.
Ms. Schreiber.
Aye.
All right. You want to give ourselves 10-minute break, 25 after? Let's go.
All right.
Right, we are back out of closed session, and we are going to have one motion and close the meeting. So can I hear a motion on the ratification of certified staff contract?
You're going to press a motion back in or no?
We already did.
I'll do it. Sandy doesn't have it. I move that the Board of Education ratify a collective bargaining agreement with the Orland School District 135 certified staff for the 2020-21 school year.
Second.
Any conversation, discussion? Jill, call the roll, please.
Ms. Kulak, Ms. Kulak,
Unmute, Sandy.
Aye.
and Mr. Merite,
Aye.
Ms. Peckham Dodge,
Aye.
Mr. Shelby,
Aye.
Dr. Berry. Dr. Berry? Okay. Mr. Hodge?
Dr. Berry?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye for me also.
Thank you.
All right, that is approved. Now I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I move that the Board of Education adjourn the June 8th, 2020 regular meeting.
Second.
Jill, call the roll, please.
Ms. Peckham Dodge,
Aye.
Mr. Shelby,
Aye.
Dr. Berry,
Aye.
Mr. Hodge,
Aye.
Ms. Kulak,
Aye.
Mr. Merite.
Aye.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Aye.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Thank you.